Okay, so welcome to the Node.js release working group meeting on the 25th of February 2021. We're going to work from the agenda that's in the Node.js release repository, and it's issue number 648. Before we get started, are there any announcements anyone would like to make at the start of the recording? Nope. I guess I'll add there were security releases this week, so on all release lines. So just for folks watching the video back, please be aware and update to those when you can. And now we're going straight onto the agenda. So we'll start sharing my screen. And we have the first item on the agenda, which is the offboarding release guidance. I think we touched upon this last week. The PR is there, it's open. I think it'd just be good to get some additional reviews. I don't know if there's any questions around it that people want to bring up in this space, or it's just a case of needing a little bit more time to review.
I read it. I can approve it as well. I think it looks good.
Sure, thank you, Danielle. Are there any concerns from anyone? Or happy to just leave it there for another week or so and see how we get with the reviews? Okay, I'll leave it open till the next meeting, and if we've got a couple of additional reviews by then I'll just merge it in that meeting or slightly before or after that meeting. The next one to go through are our release plans. So starting with Node 15, we seem to be, we've scheduled all of them up until April, so that's good. Probably no more discussion needed there. I guess I should update this and slot in the security release. I don't appear to have done that, so I can do that after the meeting. For Node 14, this is kind of an interesting one because we haven't actually done a Semver minor release. Up until the security release that happened to be Semver minor this week, we haven't done a typical Semver minor featureful release of Node 14 yet. I think it would be good if we are going to do one to try and get it out kind of before Node 16 comes out. So in the March or early April timeframe. Still need volunteers to carry that whole release through to the end. But it is on my list to start building up some backports on the staging branch. So I don't know if anyone thinks they might have time to prepare that release, or maybe can commit to also landing some backports and cherry picking some things.
Yeah, I think I might try to help with some of the backporting. I think it's going to be nice to get started on it. Yeah. So I can sync with you later. Yeah, when it started.
That sounds good. Sometimes it's just even like running the CIs on the backports, like when you come to them and they've got a lot of the time, because the wider collaborator base don't tend to touch them so much. Even running CIs and approving them really can help get things through. Okay. I propose, I need to update this table because the 14.16 was the security release. And I will probably, because we're going to need a release candidate phase, bump the minor tentatively to the March window, not give it a static date. See how we get on with the backports over the next week. If we've got a few bits on there, then maybe we can seek a volunteer just to prep the release, because once the commit's there, that's kind of the hard bit done. So maybe maybe even myself might have time to volunteer for it once we've got some commits built up. And node 12. We won't be scheduling any of those. Does anyone know anything that needs to go out on node 12?
I don't know if it needs to go out. There is an open backport for event loop utilization or something. So someone's opened the second one on that list, and the NA API one, I guess. So yeah, there are backports open, but yeah, those are Semver minors, which given that 12 is in maintenance, I guess, are we happy to land those?
So an API, I think yes, we've tended to say yes, this is definitely a good one. And I'm kind of inclined to feel like if we're doing a minor anyway,
okay, and
there's desire for this to go back and someone's gone to the effort of backporting it. Providing we've gone through and checked that there's no regressions in that feature and we land it with all the patch up commits, I'd kind of be okay with landing that one in particular.
Okay.
But one note on that, it would probably be good to get the node 14 version of it out.
Yeah, but that's in the minor, which kind of then implies that the next 12 would be behind whenever we get the 14 Semver minor out.
Yeah, that's why I was thinking maybe that does make sense though, to trickle it back through the release lines. Okay, I'll add that to the minutes and we can bear it in mind. It seems like it might be a little way off.
Yeah, because the Node API one's in a similar position. In that it hasn't landed in 14 yet.
Yeah. So ideally we'd either get those out at the same time or trickle it into 14 before 12.
Actually, almost everything. Yeah, I think it was only the HTTP one that maybe has already landed in 14, but everything else hasn't yet.
Mm-hmm.
So that the V8 coverage one has also not landed in 14 yet by the look of it.
Yeah. So yeah, this is trying to get these landed because now we know the next one's going to be minor. If we can get these landed, then maybe we can build up enough to warrant getting the release out, even if it's a slightly smaller release and it's kind of opt-in, and the things that have been explicitly backported or tagged LTS watch. I think that's okay, but it'd be good to get these out because people have been waiting to see this one from December, so it'd be good to get them out.
Okay.
I'll aim to try and land some of these, and if anyone can help with CIs or reviews on them, that'd be great. But for 12, I think we need to see what our decision is on 14 before planning a Semver minor.
Yep, okay.
Cool. And then we have the release plan for 10. Is there anything waiting for 10? I guess while I've got the label up. Doesn't appear so. So 10, nothing needs to be scheduled. It's in maintenance and about to go end of life. So security and critical fixes only.
While I remember, in build, we've turned off the running on the Pi 1s in the armed fan job.
Okay.
Which only affects 10. But
Sure.
It means we're no longer testing on the first generation Pis. We are still testing on the 2s and the 3s, but not the first generation. No.
I assume that's in the hope that some of the kind of slight instability we've seen on the Pis would be reduced by taking those out of the.
Yeah, it was around things like disk usage.
Yeah.
So it's quite a lot of disk space on the build infrastructure. But yeah, I mean, we don't have releases planned, so the risk is low, but it is a gap that has been introduced.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So in terms of scheduling, we're all scheduled for 15, 14. We just need to build up the backports and the patches on the staging branch and then seek a volunteer to carry the release through. and 12 is going to wait until after we've made a decision on 14, and nothing to do for 10. So sounds good. And back to the agenda. It's not added it, I don't think, because
it was converted to a discussion. And I don't think you can label discussions.
So the next item on the agenda, not actions, discussions, was to talk through in this space the proposal put forward by James, the proposal for the new release model. I don't know if everyone on the call has had a chance to read through it. Is anyone not aware of this proposal?
Yeah, I read it, and yeah, I think I'm in full support of your points you brought up there, Pat.
Okay, sure.
I thumbs up, so there's that.
Sure. I guess, Richard, you added this to the agenda. I'm not sure how to frame this discussion or structure it, I guess.
Given that this working group is in charge of the whole release policy, it seems that we do need to at least talk about this.
Yeah.
It's, I guess, difficult to get your head around what it's actually going to look like to people that pick up the releases. So there's obviously the side of, you know, as a releaser, how much effort do we spend preparing the releases, putting the releases out, you know, the actual mechanics of it. But then there's also the, if I'm in the ecosystem and I have a module and I need to know what features I can use if I want to support, you know, the different versions of Node, or even which version of Node should I be supporting. I think others have made points in the discussion about it's, you know, the sort of, this proposal is no longer sort of just Semver, it's kind of Semver with labels tacked on that nothing else is using, in terms of if you pick up, say, the Semver module, if you're following what looks to be Semver, you don't really have to do things if you are testing for versions and that. But if you've now got some custom scheme with date stamps, you're looking at slightly more complicated parsings of versions if that needs to be done. For example, I think any kind of thing in your label that comes after the major minor patch, so if you've got a dash anything, that goes into different rules as far as the Semver module is concerned in terms of parsing.
I guess my biggest concern, well, not concern, the thing that I would like maybe some clarity on is when I'm reading this through, I can see the proposal as the solution, but I don't think we yet have the list of problems that led to the solution.
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah, I think there's one aspect of at least the discussion here. I think you might have brought it up in your comment, Beth, but one of the things that would be very nice from a very practical releaser working group point of view is that the backporting in the active lines LTS is quite time consuming, right? So improving on that I think that is a problem that we can try to act on. So don't know if you just try to shorten the time frame of LTS active support, or or maybe create a different system where maybe we only backport things that
are requested, like opt-in.
Opt-in, make it opt-in, like, so people have to send the backport if they want to see it landing in a active LTS or something like that. I think we can tweak the current system rather than trying to modify it radically, right?
Yeah, that's kind of the similar frame I'm in, mainly because the more drastically we swap it to fix the problems we're seeing, I believe it's the users and users that are gonna hit the most problems. And I personally don't think it's as easy to explain the model, but that might just be because of familiarity with how we've done things before. And
so we've already tweaked things over the last year. It doesn't feel that long ago that we shortened active from 18 months to 12. Or maybe it has been longer than a year. But we have shortened the active maintenance period.
So maybe just make it opt-in or something like that would be a.
But yeah, I mean, we're looking at 14. That December minor 14 now. I mean, that is part, I guess, illustrating the effort involved in doing the backports and stuff for active.
Yeah, and I do think if we move to opt-in and only backported the things that were explicitly tagged with LTS watch or had been mentioned in an issue is this fix needs to land on this release line, or have been someone's gone to the effort to explicitly backport them, that would make preparing the release of a minor, to me, much easier, because we don't need to run branch diff, we don't need to triage the kind of hundreds or however many hundreds of commits there are between current and LTS. That would make life a lot easier preparing the December minors, and I think at that point it wouldn't be that much different to the patch, like preparing a patch release, because the list of commits that we need to pull in are kind of already there. We don't need to audit a long list of them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That was, yeah, my mind was going because I recently prepared a patch release for 12, right? And it was super easy compared to yeah, having to backport everything, hundreds of commits from branch diff.
But yeah, I mean, part of this is trying to, I don't know how we easily reach out to capture the people that are using the releases, because obviously it's not just us that this affects the people that this affects anyone consuming Node, because effectively the whole versioning system changes as well as the release model.
Yeah. One of the things I think I mentioned on the slide deck was like, can we look to the recent OpenJS survey to see if like there were some questions around the LTS policy in that survey, and see what the sentiment is. Are people generally happy with it how it is, or do some of the problems people raise? So I can take an action to try and maybe chase up when those results are going to be published to see if there's anything we can pull from those. But the other aspect is that's still not representative of everyone using Node.js. Like we can't reach out to everyone. We can't use Twitter. We can't use like streams to request feedback. We're not going to reach out to everyone who this really concerns.
Indeed. And I saw there was even a discussion on whether backporting features to LTS was actually that useful at all, which was a bit of a surprise that came up in the discussion, but that just seemed to be being discussed.
Yeah, my thoughts on that would be like, I see a lot of collaborators going to a lot of effort and contributors to backport features, and a lot of users on issues pinging saying, hey, when's this going back to 14, or when's this going back to the LTS? So there must be a desire somewhere, but how to quantify that into it's a very small subset or it's a massive subset, I don't know how we would do that.
Yeah, I don't know either. So
but I do think because we can't quantify it, immediately swapping to we will never backport features additions to LTS, that seems like too drastic to me to make that call just until we figure out a way of getting this feedback.
So anyway, 16 is a month and a half away.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm kind of thinking that if we were, just for the sake of argument, if we were to adopt this as it is currently stated, I think it's too soon for 16.
I would be inclined to agree.
So
in fact, I was going to mention that as the last kind of topic. The Node 16 prep per hour. We have a README guide. It's quite loose. It was just a way of writing down the instructions for anyone to pick it up going forwards.
I think
It
it
does
says a
say,
month, doesn't it?
yeah,
Something
it
like
says that we start. We should have created the branches in like February, but or, like the branches should be there by now, and we should have already, I think, 6 weeks before we start producing release candidate builds. So I do think like we should follow that policy as is for now.
Sure.
And yes, play catch up a little bit, but I don't think we shouldn't hold on that because of this proposal, because
No,
we don't know how quickly this proposal will go through, or whether it will go through and in which form.
but on the other hand,
Absolutely.
if we, for example, if we rule out this proposal for 16, then that gives us more time to discuss it.
Yeah.
And we don't feel pressured into making a quick decision on it.
Yep.
Because we do have a window in which 16 is scheduled, and
Yep.
I'm not too happy about moving that just for the sake of upheaval.
Yeah, I agree.
I think even if we do decide to do this, we're going to need to work out how to prepare the community for it.
Yeah, I completely agree. What have we got written down? I guess we've already got 16 in our table as well. So I would definitely be inclined to say it's a bit too short a time frame to change this for 16. And that definitely relieves the pressure, because the biggest impact is things being backported to LTS. And that almost gives us another year to get feedback, figure out the problems, figure out whether this solution fits the problems we're seeing, etc.
Because one of the things that isn't perhaps mentioned so much, I mean, this is about the model, but changing the model to anything kind of implies that there's going to be infrastructure changes needed to support it.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Like, there's going to be a non-zero cost to the build working group, which isn't the most well-staffed or resourced group.
Yeah, it's getting by at the moment, but yeah, it would be good if we need to do things to get as much advance notice as possible.
Yeah, because I can imagine, like, just before like a major release, the build working group have stuff to do in terms of compiler upgrades and considering those.
And the other difficulty is, if we change the model, we can't really change the model for the existing releases. So anything to the infrastructure would need to support the existing release model.
Yeah.
And whatever it changes to.
And
if it's simple things like adjusting time periods, like saying active is shorter or longer, that doesn't really change the infrastructure much. It just changes when we fire the builds. But if it's things like, oh, the tagging is different, or we're now putting things into different directories based on, and I think at one point that somewhere in there it suggests that something's automatic, but nothing's automatic unless you write the automation.
yes.
So, yeah, it's kind of it can be done, but I think we need to be sure that that's where we're going, if that's the work gets done.
Yeah. I think that's probably a good outcome from this meeting. If folks are happy for me to add it to the minutes, we'll say at this point in time, we don't think this model should be considered for Node 16 due to the short time frame, and in which we have, like just 6 weeks, and that's for release reasons, for socializing it, for build resource, like for a number of reasons.
Yeah, I can get behind that. And the other thing then is to just I guess note in the that we'll continue to monitor and participate in discussions.
One parallel thing, I don't know if it would be worth doing, is I don't know, creating an issue or a board, I don't know, something, just some space for us to write down what we think the most time consuming aspect of producing a release is. Because that the problems that fall out of that list might, we might be able to map it to this proposal, or we might not, but I think that would be good information to have either way.
But yeah, again, though, it is one side of the model, which is our side, and not the other side, which is the people using the output, of the actual releases.
One other place I'm guessing this could be raised is at the package maintenance working group with the module authors.
That does sound like a good idea.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's great from the practical point of view, but I have a very philosophical comment I wanted to share with the group. Not even sure if it's pertinent to leave a comment there in the discussion, but I was looking more from like very high level philosophical aspects of, because Node is an impactful project, right? Like it is consumed by like many developers across the planet. And this is basically pushing the project to be more of this continuous stream of endless updates, right? Even more like moving a little bit further from the planned release, and like things that just a model where people can be more planning ahead and like in a more sane pace into this world of continuous pushing major breaks every week. Like it seems very disturbing from a consumer point of view. And yeah, I don't know if we're doing our part in that regards, right? Are we contributing to the mess that the world is getting into, right? Like, are we doing the right social thing here by pushing towards that direction, the project?
I certainly agree that I believe this proposal may encourage or force different behaviors on our consumers, and whether those behaviors are like, is that how we want the ecosystem to react? Do we want like the breaking changes to happen this regularly and people upgrade more often? I can certainly see the reasoning behind that, because we always want to encourage people to upgrade to latest for bug fixes and security reasons. But is this too far, and is it pushing them too much?
Yeah.
I'm still seeing every now and then efforts to get people off Node 8.
Yeah.
We thought we'd killed off years ago.
I have thoughts on this topic too, because I think after reading the draft, I've kind of struggled to figure out how, like why I'm not like from a technical standpoint and making everything easier. I think this works, but then from a consumer perspective, it's like if I was on the other side, I think it's a little too rapid. And just from me talking to people that develop Node on Heroku, like I think it was Richard that just said that, like it's hard to get people to move off of the EOL versions. And also even the release model is a little bit complicated for people to understand. Like I'm constantly having to explain the difference between even like an odd and an even release. I don't know why, for some reason that just like never resonates with people. And so moving it to something that isn't even putting the emphasis on the Semver version, I'm a little bit worried about, because that might be hard for people to digest or even think about. And then they might just get stuck on versions and then never upgrade ever. So I'm like waiting to comment on this, because I haven't quite figured out how to phrase all of that, but I'm a little concerned about how confusing this will be.
Cool.
mean,
Yeah, I
it's
just want
almost-
to make sure this was in the back of our minds too. This aspect of the discussion.
Okay.
No, it almost sounds flippant, but it's almost to the point that Semver only makes sense for the sort of canary current bits of this, and then everything else, you're almost at the stage of saying, why bother having the Semver version in there at all, and just call it something completely different, because
Yeah,
it's no longer going to, once something's marked into LTS, it's no longer going to, the Semverness is going, the Semver version will stay the same. At which point the question then is, why bother even having it in the version string? Because that's
Yeah, I
not
agree
the
with
thing
that.
people would be looking at. But yeah, I mean, it's yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I kind of feel like making the call that we add that note about Node 16 and following the proposal and figuring out problems, trying to figure out ways of gaining feedback on these things. I feel like that's kind of the extent that we can get to today. And we'll see how it evolves between this meeting and next. If that's okay with everyone, we'll hop on to the last item that I didn't add to the agenda, but I can mention. Okay, so last bit was just a note saying, yeah, Node 16 perhaps should have started by now, or should start around now, so that we can start producing release candidates by like early to mid-March. We do have the kind of process documented in the releases MD file, but I just wanted to offer if anyone wanted to like pair on the major release with a view of maybe doing the next one, like open to pairing and dedicating some time, or doing it as a group, like if folks want to see how the process works.
Yeah, I'm open to that.
yeah.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Are we still having the Tuesday calls?
Not since the end of last year, I believe.
Right. Yeah, maybe if we want to schedule some out of band, just similar to that, so that we can follow along.
Yeah, that sounds good. I think.
Cool.
I think we meant to discuss those calls last week, but I ended the meeting forgetting that we planned to add it.
Right.
So.
It's just time in a schedule, isn't it?
Yeah, I can try and send out a doodle and try and schedule the time that plan to work on these things. But it'd be good to make it more of a kind of like team effort. Particularly as that might surface some of the problems in our process that James has seen, or this proposal mentions, because he used to do a lot of the major releases.
Okay.
Okay, I can again take an action to try and maybe set up a doodle poll, find a good time to go through those and start the prep, and just how we refresh it each week and produce the release candidate and start the change log, that kind of stuff. But sounds good.
Cool.
Okay. Is there anything else anyone would like to mention today? Bring up? No? Okay. So this was recorded today and not live streamed. So I'll have to wait for the download to finish and then upload it to YouTube and post the minutes. If that's everything, enjoy the rest of your day, everyone, and speak to you all later.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.